Last night, Chantelle made her American debut, at the end of which she raised her hands in victory while the crowd booed. The fans were booing. It doesn't matter why they were booing. It doesn't matter who they were booing. That's not the point. It's irrelevant. They were booing. As she stood there with her hands raised in victory, the crowd were booing. This was a nightmare. It doesn't get any worse. It could never get any worse than this. It was a disaster, a complete and total disaster. So, two points here. The referee's decision. Was the referee right to stop the fight at that point? In my opinion, yes. The referee had told Hernandez on at least 3 occasions and her corner that he was on the verge of stopping the fight. He had told Hernandez he wanted to see more. He had spoken to her corner. In fact, at the end of the previous round, he had gone to her corner and explained that, he was thinking of stopping this. So the referee's decision was not wrong. The timing might seem wrong, but I don't think the timing was particularly wrong either. Cameron had hit Hernandez with a right. As far as I can remember, it was a right. Hernandez went up against the ropes, and just as she was coming back off the ropes, the referee stepped in. And I think he was right because Hernandez, she looked tired, she looked finished, and I think it was actually over at that point. If the referee had not stepped into that space, I think Cameron would have stepped forward and finished it there and then, and she could have seriously hurt Hernandez. Now, it didn't look good. It was unsatisfactory for the fans, including me. I didn't like the ending, but having watched the replay a couple of times now, I think the referee was right. I think the referee, when he saw Hernandez coming off the rope after being hit by Cameron, I think the referee moved into that space because if he didn't, Cameron was going to, and it was going to be over and maybe somebody get hurt. So I think the referee was right. It was unfortunate, didn't look good, spoiled the fight. But I have no complaints about the referee. I think it was the right decision. Now we come to a second issue. There's just 2 issues in relation to this fight. This was a disaster, this fight. This was the fantasy fight that Cameron, no doubt Cameron had dreamt of this, or a fight like this at some point, years ago. She would have been dreaming of this, fantasizing, imagining her, visualizing herself with her hands raised, and the crowd on their feet, and the great night. And instead it was a disaster, an absolute total disaster. And this fight should never have happened. Even on paper, it shouldn't have happened. It looked like a total mismatch, and it was a total mismatch in effect. It was a bad fight. Even if the referee had stopped the fight at a different point with no booing and all that, even then the fight, a victory over Hernandez proved nothing. She hadn't fought for whatever it was, 4 or 5 years. She was at obvious physical disadvantage in reach and in height. So there was no benefit to Cameron in having this fight at all. But that brings me just to one point about Cameron. When you look at the matchroom boxers in particular, female matchroom boxers, Terry Harper, would say Shannon Courtney, Savannah Marshall, etc., etc. You look at Rachel Ball, you look at all these fights, the last year, 18 months, we've had thrilling, exciting fights, edge of the seat fights, classic fights, all of them. Great entertainment. And it's been drawing in more and more fans for women's boxing. Now, Cameron needs a fight like that. She needs a fight with Taylor. A fight with Taylor would be a thriller. It would be exciting. It would be edge of the seat. It would be great entertainment. Cameron simply hasn't been getting decent fights. Since she signed up with MTK, she's only had one entertaining, decent fight, and that was with Sanchez. Sanchez, good boxer, very skillful boxer, very tough. Now Cameron beat her comfortably, but it was a good quality, entertaining fight. All the rest of Cameron's fights, they've been damn squibs. Her fight with Udo. Cameron fought very well. I think she put up a great performance. I think she just showed her class. She made Araujo. She made her seem second rate. But that was the sheer quality of Cameron. But the bottom line, the end game, if you like, is that the fights Cameron has been getting, they don't look entertaining. I'm entertained, but I'm a fanatical Cameron fan. But for the ordinary punter or for people who are just coming to boxing, none of Cameron's fights have been thrillers. None of them have been edge of the seat classics. And this one, this was a disaster. I mean, you think you're an American debut. Look, in 10 years' time, when she reflects on her American debut, you're holding up the hands and the fans are booing. I mean, a disaster. I mean, it's really a total disaster. In your worst nightmare, you wouldn't have predicted that her debut would end like this. She seems to be very unlucky, Cameron, but to some extent you make your own luck, and she needs that Taylor fight. She needs a Taylor fight or a fight of that quality. So here's the question. I cannot think of anyone else but Taylor that would give Cameron a proper fight that would be exciting and thrilling. Who do you think? If she can't get Taylor, and it seems she won't be able to for the moment, who do you think Cameron should fight to give us that classic exciting fight? Because I can't think of anyone. So if you can think, put it in the comments. And that's not a ploy to just get people to make comments. That's something I genuinely like to know, because I can't. Trying to think who Cameron could fight in our next fight, that would be a thriller, a great fight. I can't think of anyone else. So there you are, a disastrous night for Cameron. Yeah, it really doesn't get any worse.